Theme parks are great. They have cool rides, interesting food, and funky characters. You can easily get lost in it all, lost in the excitement and atmosphere. They're a place to forget about work, or school, or the crippling debt you've accumulated visiting too many theme parks. Basically, I'm a big fan. So much so that I flew all the way from the United Kingdom to Japan, a disgusting 14-hour direct flight, all in the name of theme parks. Well, mostly in the name of theme parks. But not just any old theme park, no. We're talking about the theme park, the one often regarded as the world's best, Tokyo Disney Sea. Tokyo is so cool, it has 2 Disney theme parks. There's what we call a castle park, that's the one with the big princess castle, like Magic Kingdom for all you Florida lovers. And then there's a sea park, one with different areas themed to the myths and legends of the sea, allegedly. So there's Disneyland and Disney Sea. Land and sea, very clever. The land park, the castle park, is pretty cool, right? But Disney Sea is something else. It's like a mini city with remarkable attention to detail and depth in storytelling. I mean, just take it all in via your screen. It's beautiful. I'd heard great things about Tokyo Disney Sea and was therefore absolutely ready to have my world rocked. And as a theme park enjoyer, my world was rocked. However, there was an underlying, consistent problem. A lingering feeling ruining the moments of happiness and pure joy I was experiencing. That nagging issue has many names in the world, but perhaps the most iconic one is Fastpass. Fastpass, Express Pass, Skip the Line, whatever it's called, it's ruining theme parks for everyone. To be entirely blunt and honest, I enjoyed the supposed world's best theme park, but I would not hurry back anytime soon. Why? Purely because the experience has strayed too far from what theme parks are meant to be. This isn't a Tokyo Disney specific problem, however. It's a pandemic. Most major theme parks are infected, but there is a patient zero. Let's take a quick lesson to learn why this is all Disney's fault. Back in the late 1990s, attendance to Walt Disney World theme parks was rising. The rapidly increasing interest caused a problem for the parks. Guests began to complain about the ever-growing wait times for the various popular attractions within the parks. Visitor satisfaction was down, and more people in the queues meant less people spending money on food and merchandise. To combat the issue, the clever people at Walt Disney World had a brainwave. They introduced Fastpass to the world in late 1999, an innovative skip-the-line system. It was simple. Guests would walk to the Fastpass kiosk in front of the attraction they're interested in riding. Then, they would insert their park ticket and in return would receive a paper ticket with a designated 1-hour window. During that window, guests could hand in their paper Fastpass at the attraction to ride it with a significantly shorter wait. The most critical point of this system was that it was free. Anyone and everyone could use it. Amazing. What a glorious idea. Not only were guests spending less time waiting for rides, but it also allowed the park to better manage the flow of visitors. If they discovered fewer visitors traveled to the back of the park at midday, they could provide a greater number of Fastpass for the rides over there to attract people to that specific corner. Genius. Understandably, Disney's Fastpass idea resonated with other theme parks very quickly. However, most were not as generous. Several years after Disney, Universal Studios introduced Express Pass, a paid version of the Fastpass system. For a one-off, hefty fee, visitors could skip the line on specific attractions, anytime they want, as many times as they want. Powerful stuff. Six Flags, an amusement chain in the United States, also quickly ran with the idea. They introduced Fast Lane at Six Flags Magic Mountain in 2002, allowing people to pay a fee to skip the line for several attractions at the park a limited number of times. Look, the alternative paid-for versions of Disney's original Fastpass weren't ideal, but Fastpass itself was a new concept. It was the exception, not the standard. Let's fast forward to the late 2010s, where theme parks are seemingly more popular than ever, and so is, reluctantly, Fastpass. Every theme park under the sun has their own unique version of a skip-the-line pass. To make matters worse, the vast majority of these cost an additional extra fee. Despite this drastically changed landscape, Disney continued to set the gold standard. The original Fastpass remained free for all to enjoy. Unfortunately, however, the more we saw paid-for Fastpass systems in theme parks, the more we all became accustomed to it. So, by the end of the 2010s, Fastpass was a buzzword. It had already become a definitive part of the theme park experience. However, most places didn't exploit the system entirely. They finally maintained the balance between regular guests and Fastpass guests, with the aim of ensuring appropriate wait times for everyone. This, my friends, all changed with just one single event. COVID had a substantial impact on theme parks. Many which had operated continuously for years were now closed until further notice. The pandemic was something theme parks were not particularly accustomed to or even remotely ready for. When the parks did reopen, they often ran at limited capacity. Many people couldn't travel or simply didn't want to. Social distancing also meant theme parks couldn't accept as many guests as normal, but numbers were down anyway. All this meant that Fastpass was pointless. Theme parks were quieter than normal. As a result, most reopened post-pandemic without a functioning Fastpass system, including the array of Disney parks around the world. This did not last long, however. Once the lockdowns eased and the vaccinations became more widespread, people began looking for opportunities to travel. There was a sudden burst in demand. People wanted to go out and do things. So, who benefited from that pent-up demand? Theme parks. Universal's theme park division posted record profits in 2022, which was shortly followed by Disney announcing record profits of their own. Disney in particular was dealt a very unique hand. Their free Fastpass system was gone, at least temporarily, thanks to COVID. At the same time, their attendance was climbing rapidly. They recognized people had money to spend and were more than willing to spend it on experiences. As a result, Disney seized the opportunity handed to them. In the second half of 2021, Disney launched a paid-for Fastpass service at every theme park resort that previously provided free Fastpasses. In any normal circumstances, this would have caused a huge uproar. But this wasn't a paid-for Fastpass service replacing a free one. It was a paid-for Fastpass service replacing nothing. Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes took over the Disney parks in the USA, while Disney Premier Access became the new paid-for option in Disney's European and Asian theme parks. From a business point of view, it was a genius move. One, it allowed them to reap the savings some people had accumulated during the pandemic. Two, by offering guests a more premium theme park experience. 3, enabling Disney to boost profits to improve recovery from the pandemic downturn. And 4, all while knowing the average guest won't care because they're happy to be doing interesting things again. In the short term, this worked fine. People wanted the best experience they could get and were therefore happy to spend extra money on perks like Fastpass. However, it did not take long for things to unravel. The cost of living crisis quickly escalated throughout 2022, reducing the number of people able to spend money on experiences. At the same time, visitor numbers began to plateau as pent-up demand was released. People also began to move on from COVID back to the previous norms. With that came a return of normal expectations. All this meant that fewer people could afford to simply visit theme parks, let alone buy Fastpasses, and regular guests were no longer satisfied with overly long waits caused by their Fastpass counterparts. The entire landscape had quickly shifted, while the world of Fastpass had not. The dominance of this post-COVID Fastpass, Express Pass, and Skip the Line Pass has remained. More and more, Fastpass is becoming the default theme park experience. This new experience is awful. not only for regular, normal guests, but for the Fastpass enjoyers too. This fundamental shift brings with it two major problems: a change in the experience itself and a change in who can experience that experience. Being a theme park nerd, I'd prefer to complain about the experience itself first, but the second problem is broader, more systemic, and much more important. The best theme park experiences are simple. You arrive at the theme park and walk around. Then, you stumble across an interesting looking ride. You decide to enter the queue, wait an appropriate amount of time, and ultimately get to experience the ride. Finally, you repeat this process many more times during the day, having a fantastic time throughout. The cycle is true for all aspects of theme parks: rides, food, shopping. This experience requires little to no planning. It requires very limited use of smartphones or theme park related apps, and comes at no additional extra cost once you've entered the theme park itself. Fundamentally, theme parks are about escapism, getting away from the painful realities of the world. I have enough planning in my own life. Why on earth would I want to plan which rides I'll wait for when, in an attempt to minimize queue times or game the system? Likewise, we're all already glued to our phones. Theme parks are incredible spaces to be present and get lost in the real world. What is the point of going to these unique spaces if we spend half our time constantly checking wait time apps or attempting to pre-book food at specific restaurants to, quote, beat the rush? And finally, while at a theme park, I'd prefer not to worry about money any more than I have to. I appreciate the fact that they're inherently expensive. However, the additional cost of Fastpasses becomes another painful reminder of the joys of reality, including limited finances. I lived through all of this while at Tokyo Disney Sea, the alleged best theme park in the world. First, I spent hours researching how to tackle the park to maximize my time there. I did this because everyone provides the same feedback from their trip. It's always busy. So, we didn't often stumble across rides, but were destined to be there at the time thanks to my ridiculous planning rituals. Secondly, Disney Sea itself requires every living soul who wants to have a good time to spend the first 10 minutes of their visit literally inside of their smartphone. If you want to get Fastpasses for the most popular rides to avoid disastrous 3-hour-long queues, you need to immediately load up the Disney app. This also goes for a limited number of free Fastpasses for the less popular rides. The end result is that each mortal immediately looks at their phone as soon as they enter the park. Disney Sea is arguably one of the most beautiful theme parks in the world, but I guess the floor looks good too, huh? And finally, I do not want to know how much I spent on Fastpasses during my visit. No doubt they cost more combined than the entire entrance ticket. Look, I can hear your thoughts. Harry, it can't be that bad. 3-hour queues, surely he's exaggerating there. Ah, kind viewer, that was real. Not only was that my reality, it's the common reality throughout most of the calendar year. You see, in its current form, Tokyo Disney Sea suffers from a capacity problem. There simply aren't enough things to do for the amount of guests in the park. To make matters worse, this problem is magnified by Fastpass. You see, I am a man of science. While at the park, I noticed a screen at the merge point between Fastpass and standby queues for some rides. On each screen, it displayed how many people had ridden the attraction that day split by queue line. Tower of Terror had one of those screens, and it displayed horrifying things. Towards the late afternoon, 4,000 people had ridden Tower of Terror from the standby queue. Sure, not bad. What number would you expect to see for the Fastpass queue? Maybe the equivalent amount? Another 4,000? Nope, not even close. It's 12,000. 12,000 Fastpass guests had ridden Tower of Terror compared to just 4,000 normal guests. That's obscene. A ride vehicle full of 20 people would feature 15 Fastpass guests and just 5 standby guests. A genuinely insane and infuriating fact. This massively magnifies the wait time problem. A 3-hour standby queue wouldn't be 3 hours if the Fastpass line didn't exist. Perhaps the vast majority believe that is simply the reality of theme parks nowadays. Maybe my idealistic view of the perfect theme park experience just doesn't exist anymore. Except it does, in very rare, precious pockets scattered around the world. A prime example is the fairy tale gem in the Netherlands that is the Efteling. You'll perhaps be surprised to note that the Efteling doesn't have Fast Track, yet still welcomes over 5 million guests each year. This one fact in itself solves most of the problems. There's no need to stare at your app constantly to buy fast passes, nor are there huge waits for the rides because there's only one queue. Each train isn't nearly full of Fastpass guests, it's entirely filled with standby guests, every single time. And the park has enough attractions, restaurants, and other experiences to cater for everyone. All of this means that you don't need to plan to enjoy yourself at the Efteling. You just turn up and breathe it all in. It is one of the perfect theme park experiences. Other notable parks with similar experiences include Europa Park in Germany, themed to Europe's many different countries and cultures. Then there's Dollywood in the United States, a theme park owned by the wonderful Dolly Parton, set in the beautiful Smoky Mountains. As well as Tivoli Gardens, the world's second oldest operating theme park, nestled right in the middle of Copenhagen. None are as big as the world's Disney or Universal parks, but each offers a unique interpretation of a traditional theme park experience. When Walt set out to build Disneyland, he intended it to be for everyone, or at least as many people as possible. The entry fee on opening day was just $1, equivalent to around $12 today. Walt's theme park was a place for all to enjoy a bit of whimsy and escapism. Since then, theme parks have remained something to do for mostly everyone. Cheap ticket deals have enabled an ever-growing number of people to experience the joy of a roller coaster every now and again. However, that seems to be changing. The all-in upfront cost of visiting a theme park is disappearing. For many of the world's most popular parks, the default experience is one that requires Fastpass. An increase to the cost of a theme park visit, all for the same experience as before. In isolation, those additional costs may be bearable. The problem is, entry tickets themselves have increased drastically in price too, often faster than they otherwise should have. For example, in the last 5 years, tickets to Walt Disney World have ballooned by more than 25%. It costs more to enter, and the experience you're met with is worse. Theme parks, what previously were a common thing to do, are now becoming increasingly more of a luxury. Ultimately, people are being squeezed out of theme parks. Those who can afford it get to experience theme parks as they should be. Everyone else simply doesn't. It's reached a point where the experience is fundamentally different based on the size of your wallet. If you can afford the additional cost of a Fastpass, you might get to experience 15 attractions in one day. If you can't, well, you're looking at maybe 3. This isn't just about the convenience of a shorter wait, it's a paywall, a systemic shift in how theme parks operate. It's deeper than just money, however. There's social exclusion happening here. Theme parks, especially the world's many Disneylands, are a big part of our cultural conversation. Imagine growing up and being the only child who hadn't visited Disneyland, or whatever your local theme park version of Disney is. For some of you, that might have already been your reality. And for many more in the future, it will become theirs. Kids just want to meet Mickey Mouse and ride roller coasters. How do you explain that they can't? Because 1, they're impossible to keep occupied for 3 hours, and 2, the cost of the alternative is extortionate. All of this, goes against everything theme parks are meant to be. It's all a painful reminder of the realities of the world, the exact thing theme parks are meant to help us escape. As someone with an adoration and love for these places, these experiences are hard to watch. I want others to love them too. But what's to love about a poor experience, economic disparity, and social exclusion? So, what's the conclusion here? Well, the COVID-19 pandemic accidentally became the perfect opportunity for theme parks to extract more money from guests through the widespread adoption of paid-for Fastpass, a systemic reduction in quality of the theme park experience. Simultaneously, the cost of obtaining the original experience has increased drastically. Even then, to get the most out of your visit, you have to purposely ruin your own experience through excessive planning and constantly checking theme park apps. And all of that is simply because of corporate greed. Honestly, I don't see things changing anytime soon. That is, unless there is some form of coordinated mass resistance by the general public. Maybe that will come in the future, once the experience is truly ruined. For now, there is no happy ending to this story. All we can do is play our part. Instead of visiting the Disneys, Universals, and other major theme park operators of the world, consider the smaller ones that are doing it right. Find the hidden gems. Proper theme park experiences still exist. They're just a rarity. And unfortunately, Tokyo Disney Sea is not one of them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.